Hello there, it's Mike.
And Katie.
And it's episode 158.
The one in Soho.
This week on Cup of Rad. Hey everybody, we're back. Another week. Another adventure filled with venture.
It feels like it's been a long time. Like, time is dragging, but also flying.
And time is flying by.
It's weird.
Time is flying by, and we just feel like we're running out of time to do anything.
It's already a whole week of December in.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Whole week of December in, and we've only watched one Christmas movie.
Yeah. No, we've watched one Christmas movie in November. We've watched, some episode, the Home Alone one.
Oh yeah.
And then we watched there was a cartoon, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Well, that's the movie we watched.
I know. But then we watched something else, I thought.
No,
we haven't.
No.
So we've only watched The Nightmare Before Christmas.
So, which is definitely a weird feeling for Christmas. There's definitely doesn't feel like there's Christmas spirit in the Cup of Red house.
No, we have decorations, but we just don't seem to find the time and I don't know. I don't know if there's really movies that we are like, yes, I really, really want to watch that. That, you know what? We've had this happen before where we feel like we want to be closer to Christmas. It's like we're cool to decorate early, but it's like a movie is crossing the line. So we don't want to dig into movies too early. And then all of a sudden it's Christmas and we have not watched anything. We've done this so many years.
Yeah, but there's certain ones that you want to watch early, and I'd rather wait closer to Christmas because then we end up having the ones that we kind of like or like that are like the longer ones to watch in the week of Christmas because we watched all like the really fun, exciting ones in the beginning.
Yeah.
So
see, he forgets he has the week of Christmas before Christmas off. I do not.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. He's like, so I'll be watching.
Me and Kiddo can watch movies all week.
Oh, I see how it is. So I asked Kiddo, I said, okay, so what movies off the top of your head do you care about? And he tells me Home Alone. Actually, first, Christmas Vacation, then Home Alone. That was what he told me. I thought that was quite funny.
I'm really surprised that Christmas Vacation really resonated.
It really stuck with him.
That is the go-to Christmas.
And he seemed like proud of himself for saying it. It's like, yeah, I said that. And it was like looking at me like waiting for a reaction.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
It's like he knows that it's it's the edgiest one that we've showed him, right? So
yeah,
I thought it was quite funny.
My number one, of course, is going to be Krampus.
Yeah.
I keep pushing for December 24th Krampus watching.
I thought we haven't done that. I thought we did that last year. No?
No.
Huh.
We always end up watching it earlier.
Huh. Okay. So I think we have not done our ceremonious calendar of Christmas movies. So we have to make
Advent calendar of Christmas.
Yeah, and make our plan. We used to like agenda them out, and because we have. But the problem is we have so many. Like next week is just a total bust of things at night between appointments and band concerts and Christmas parties, and like it's just insanity. It's just gonna fly by. Fly by, man. Craziness.
And it's my last week, so I'm good.
Yeah, and then you'll be fine.
I'll be happy. I'll be good. So we ended up, the highway opened.
We're free. We're out of our island.
Yeah, we can finally travel. Free, it's still supposed to be essential, but we did have some essential grocery shopping we needed to do.
Yeah.
That we couldn't get for Christmas. So we wanted to make sure to take advantage that the highway was open. So we decided to head down just in case any more atmospheric river blizzards happen. And then, so we headed down. And we stopped off at a mall because we were like, well, while we're doing it, we may as well do some Christmas shopping. And it was a bit of a bust in some cases.
Well, we hadn't been to that mall since before COVID hit. And
it was like just before COVID hit, and then we hadn't been there.
Well, yeah, it was like February.
Yeah.
So we love going to malls. That was our normal thing to do. And being forced out of it, we've hit a closer mall many times since, but this was a bigger mall and we used to go there all the time. And especially Hot Topic, that's our closest Hot Topic. We used to go there all the time, and just being pushed away from it by force I thought I'd be more excited to be back there, and it was, the least to say, is lackluster and disappointing.
Yeah, well, you know what? Because COVID forced Hot Topic to have to be COVID friendly, they took out all of the standees that was usually full of product, except for like 2 main tables at the front, and everything else was just the wall. So it's just like a big U. Yeah. Right. And there was no like real standees at all, shelving units with any extra merch on it. So it was pretty bare bones. Yes. And they literally went, well, we've got t-shirts now.
So many purse backpacks. So many of them.
Yeah. And that was like the 2 things they had.
They only had the one front table, the front, and then there's 2 like little tiny racks. And it was there was so little things there. And, you know, and then of course, on top of that, we were hoping to get some things for kiddo, and they didn't have the size that we were hoping for, as much as it was going to be a little bit of a long shot for them to have a size. It still was something that it was disappointing that they didn't have, but they've changed the material of this pajama pants that we've always loved. So those are a little bit different. And it was just all these things.
Yeah. So put a bit of a damper on
which was sad to see, right?
Start.
Yeah.
But like I've noticed too that like the t-shirts, it's like they've gone like graphic heavy with whatever merch they're getting. And that's happening everywhere.
Current fashion is that way.
Fashion is that way, where it's like there's like the picture of the character, and then there's like the logo from the show, and then there's like the Japanese writing of the show, and then it's on the arm and it's on the back.
Everything's on the arms, and
like it's like it's just like dipped in plastic. Like you may as well just be handing out latex suits, which was really disappointing to see. Yeah, you know, everything was just heavy, not soft and just kind of basic like it was a couple of years ago, back in the pre-COVID days. Print,
right? Yeah.
So, but one thing I was going to mention was on our drive down, we got to see some of the flood damage.
Oh, yeah.
And that was pretty wild to see how much water is still hanging around, to the point where there is actually water right up to the edge of the highway in a couple of spots.
Well, the one parallel road was flooded. It was gone. I mean, it was completely washed. One of my coworkers had said that because there was little like turnarounds between, because there's a giant in between, like lowered ground between the 2 the different directions of the highway lanes, and then there's the emergency access road. She's like, one of them is just completely washed away. Yeah, like water is down lower, but it's just gone, right? But there's just a giant lake in between the 2 highway lanes on either side of the highway. Yeah. It's just everywhere.
There were stumps everywhere. Like it's like you look at like where did these pieces of wood come from?
Then there was vehicles in the water.
They look like driftwood.
Yeah.
But like, you know, this kind you see at an ocean.
Yeah.
Right? Like big chunks, like trees.
Yeah.
There was vehicles still submerged around places.
There was a tow truck in the middle of the highway stuck in the water.
So it was pretty wild to see all of that.
Yeah.
And like, cause it definitely was like, well, the highway's open. So sweet, we can get out of the valley. We can go somewhere else. And then you drive through and you're like, well, crap, this is still not
a disaster zone.
And it wouldn't take much for that water to spill over the highway again.
No, because it was right there, right? So that same morning, it was snowing here.
Yep.
So that was adding to the adventure. And then it snowed more just recently again, quite a bit more. So we've just having all sorts of fun.
Wetness.
Yeah.
Lots of wetness.
So,
which is pretty wild. But, you know, we were successful. We made it back. We got some Christmas stuff, and we
got our Christmas food. That's most important.
And that was, you know, we hit up our favorite place for our vegan treats and our vegan stuff, Spent Grounds, and we were able to get those few things that we needed for Christmas to make Christmas a little more easy and fun and special. Which was pretty awesome.
I got a new pair of high heels I'm very happy about. I had won a gift certificate from a contest at work and was able to buy beautiful black patent heels with like a ankle tie wrap thing on them. So I don't know when I'm going to wear them exactly, other than possibly my Christmas party right now, but they're gorgeous and I love them.
And there you go.
So
the more you know.
Those were the brand new release that they had, a special release too. They had like a whole like release party in Vancouver for it and everything. I don't know who it is that was, she looked just like a socialite or something, but whatever. The shoes are pretty.
Socialite even a word now?
I think
influencer.
Yeah, no. I guess socialite is a fancier term. You have to have lots of money to be a socialite. Otherwise, you're just an influencer.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so we watched Nightmare Before Christmas, and that is a staple in our home. Mm-hmm. That for me is one that I prefer to watch a little later in the season because I love it so much. I don't want it to disappear so quickly, right? So.
Oh, it's not. I don't understand that concept.
What?
Like, why do you want to wait? Like, we start Christmas season so early. Why don't we just dig into it and like pick some of the key favorites and watch one like every week, opposed to like the week before Christmas mad dash of like ones that we really want. We need to spread it out more. But it's like, what is the symbolism of waiting until Christmas? Do you need to be like? If I had
my choice, I'd be watching like Nightmare and Krampus, those kind of like just before Christmas, because I enjoy them the most at a lot of the Christmas movies. Right. So.
Okay.
Right. So.
Well, then next year.
We need to like start with the ones that like kind of like, and then wean towards like the epic Christmas movies. Right.
So we need to start rating our movies. And you need to tell me what year's most important for you. Closest to Christmas, and then we need to work backwards with them rather than starting to be.
And then we need to pepper in the R-rated comedy ones to break up some of the more family stuff. Because if you watch too much family stuff, sometimes you can get a little
bit more mind numbing.
Yeah, and then you. But so anyway, we watched Nightmare Before Christmas, and we've talked about Nightmare Before Christmas multiple times on the podcast.
Yeah, we had a whole episode of Nightmare Before Christmas.
And we've even read the Nightmare Before Christmas a few years back too, as a little 15-minute episode. So you just got to go back and you got to find those ones because a lot of feelings haven't changed. The only thing I noticed this time that I hadn't noticed before was how much more I noticed, because I always knew that it was Jack's midlife crisis.
Well, it gets deeper every time I watch it.
But I never really realized, and I don't know why, I feel kind of dumb for saying this, but like Sally's age.
Because she doesn't look like a young kid.
Yeah.
She just
but even like the dialogue and stuff like that, like it just wasn't really the forefront of my thinking, and that realization that like Jack's going through his midlife crisis and Sally's just like the teenage girl. So there's a bit of
now you're just ruining Nightmare Before Christmas for people all over the world just now. Like, God damn it.
Well, it's that idea that it's like, he's finding his happiness.
It's the story of the reality of a lot of things.
Yeah. So it's just a weird revelation while we were watching it. I was like, oh, wow. Oh.
Well, yeah. Every time I watch it there's a new way for me to relate to my life in some fashion of like it's speaking of something that's going on. Like,
and that shows then possibly how that's good why the music is and all that. And, they just recently, a few weeks back, they actually did it around Halloween. So they had their annual Nightmare Before Christmas bash at the Hollywood Bowl. And Billie Eilish had played Sally for them, and which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
But yeah, then we found Amphibia. Amphibia did a Christmas special. They also had done a Halloween special last year, I think.
Yeah,
last season.
This year.
But they did a whole Christmas episode, and it really brought me back to the olden days when cartoons did that, where they had that's what, like, even when DuckTales did their Christmas special, like, it was just nice to see cartoons have that.
Well, I like that they even just did a bits of Christmas to the opening credits too. Like, they changed enough of an animation even for that. So they care to make it an event.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny because they even commented in it that it was a special event.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit of a fourth wall break, which was funny. So.
The whole episode was hilarious. If you haven't seen it, definitely find it.
Anne goes on a plan to make a parade float for her parents' restaurant.
Yeah,
because it was something they've always wanted to do, and then
the planters just learning about Christmas through it, and they're like, what their takeaways from what people are saying.
So funny. They're like, but what is this about?
What does it mean? Flaming trees, bad. Like, yeah, it's such a well put together show that you definitely should check it out if you got kids or not. It's just a good cartoon.
Yeah.
So
much good laughter about it. And there's something for everyone, right?
So this episode is all about Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho.
Yeah, we finally watched it. We've been wanting to watch it for a while now. And we're just like, you know what? We're just going to have to make it happen now.
Yeah, so we lucked out.
We didn't do Christmas and we went and did this.
That's right. So Last Night in Soho, what are your thoughts, Katie?
My initial thoughts was it was fantastic. It was a very interesting, intriguing way to tell almost many layers of a story. And it was so beautifully done as well and well acted. My initial thought is I would definitely want to watch it again because there was so much to take in from it. So what about you?
I absolutely loved it. It's probably going to be up there on the top of 2021 films. Because there hasn't, of course, been a lot of movies that I've really enjoyed this year, but the few that I have really enjoyed have really stood out.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that the way it was shot and the cinematography and all that in it, and even the editing, was so seamlessly beautiful, along with the use of color. And then the old 60s music, it was just engaging to look at.
Yeah.
It was just...
Well, there was never really any dull moments. All of it
was very quick.
Every scene was helping the story move along. It wasn't like, oh, okay, well, what's the point of this? Or this has gotten boring or whatnot, right? So it's telling us about Ellie, who is an art student, who goes to a fashion art student in London. She moves there by herself, and kind of that first foray out of the country into the big city. And she starts living at like a more of a dorm, I guess, feel of something with the school, but her roommate is terrible and just absolutely atrocious. So she pretty quickly goes and finds this other room in this old house to live in. And it's essentially it's a supernatural kind of a thriller concept, but the idea is she ends up being almost thrown back into time. And she's obsessed with the 60s, very much in love with the music and the fashion. Like, her fashion design is based on those classic 60s dresses, and she's basically watching this girl's story unfold and living kind of vicariously through her, essentially, right? And some of those cut scenes that you were talking about are that first introduction when she goes back in time. It's using mirrors to show Ellie there along with Sandy. And as she moves around, it goes back and forth between them using the mirror, and it's just so seamless, not clunky interaction with people. She's dancing. Matt Smith is in it, and they're twirling around and they're interchanging the girls, and yet you can't tell, and it was so interesting to watch that. So then she basically goes down the rabbit hole of almost becoming this Sandy because she's all obsessed with it. And then, but seeing this dirty underbelly of the 60s and the London entertainment industry, and what women would have been subjected to in order to get ahead and get what they want, right? So it starts so peppy and so bright and colorful and fun and sexy, and then it turns dark real quick. And then it's just like, oh goodness.
And in those moments, though, like, as much as I really loved the film, there was a lot of moments where I felt frustrated at the character. Yeah. Right? And like, I wanted to yell at the screen because it was just, I was angry. but it never took me out of the film enough to be like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
Right. It was more of like oh my God, seriously, like you need help. Like, stop.
Well, because intertwined in this is the concept of mental health. And, you know, her mom has a history of mental illness. So it very well plays out like that. Mm-hmm. You know, and so you have that in your head, and it's just, it's frustrating but you know that when you're in the middle of that, you can't see the other side. Mm-hmm. And if you're not willing to share it with people, then, you know, but it shows that curiosity and that fascination with things, and how far you're willing to say it's okay before you can't come back from it. Yeah. Right. So there was so many different levels of story in there. And as I say, such a good job of everything. And then you see her progressing and trying to make relationships in London, and then, you know, essentially trying to solve almost a crime from the past, not knowing if it's in her head or a real or whatnot. Right.
So no, I highly recommend finding this film. It's on demand up here, at least. It's still premiere access, so it is the $25 on demand, but it was worth it. Anna Taylor-Joy plays Sandy. Matt Smith's in it. You get to actually see Matt Smith play more of a dirtbag. Yeah,
that was weird to not see him peppy and nice, smooth, and charming. Yeah, or silly. Yeah, he's
so it's cool,
creepy
to see him kind of like getting some other roles. Right,
he did a good job.
Eloise is, I don't know how to say her name. Calendar Man.
She was from Jojo Rabbit.
Thomason Mackenzie? Thomason?
I'd say Thomason Mackenzie, yeah.
Yeah. The Mackenzie I understand. I was like, but the Thomason. She was from Jojo Rabbit, and it's wild because it doesn't feel that long since Jojo Rabbit, but she is, I guess, 2019 when Jojo Rabbit came out. And she looks so much older now.
That is, it shows them the difference of how they designed her, right?
Yeah.
You know?
But this is going to make you feel old in this moment.
Because she was born in 2000.
Yeah, okay, you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, God, yep, I feel old.
She literally has made more money than we'll have ever seen. And she was born in 2000. Hey, she was in The Hobbit. One of the Hobbits. Oh. She was in The Hobbit, yeah. Huh. Astrid. Huh. Okay. Way back in 2014.
Interesting.
She was only 14.
And Mike's getting sucked down the rabbit hole of IMDb.
Well, that made me feel old. One thing I really thought, though, was with the film, though, is it really showing how much Edgar Wright is changing as a filmmaker. Yeah. You know, like he's known for Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim, right? Those are his you know, fantastic, don't get me wrong, films. But when you watch like Baby Driver and now this here, you can really...
so much more refined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really, really pushing the art, especially in this film.
Yes.
You know, there's a scene in it where she goes to go to bed and the shot is from under the covers and she goes under the covers and then it goes all black except for a tunnel and then she's walking through the tunnel.
Yeah, that was so well done.
Right.
Because I was wondering about the transition of how it would be. Yeah. And now I want to go watch it again. Yeah. So we'll get it if it comes out on disc. I would love to get it.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. Like it was but this is the end of the spoiler-free portion of the episode. So sorry that it's a shorter episode.
Yeah, but you know what? It's better than nothing. So so if you have not watched the movie and you are interested in it, which I highly would recommend,
don't want spoilers,
please go and watch it. Then thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful day and go watch Last Night in Soho. If you have watched it,
well, then come back and finish.
Yeah, if you have watched, then you can continue on with us.
Well, once you've watched it, you can come back too.
Yes, you can come back and finish.
So the spoiler portion of Last Night in Soho. So Edgar writes Last Night in Soho. Here is our spoiler review.
There you
Does
go.
that make you feel like you had like a Groundhog Day moment?
Yeah.
Hello there, it's Mike.
And Katie.
And it's episode 178.
178. We are on 158.
158. Hello there, it's Mike.
And Katie.
And it's episode 158.
The spoiled version in Soho.
This week on Cup of Red.
This is terrible. We need to stop trying and just move forward with the spoilers, man.
So what do you want to spoil about the movie?
What do I want to spoil?
Well, I can go more in depth now, right?
Well, yeah, well,
get deeper.
I'm just gonna like jump right to the spoil. The spoil. Well, okay, so as she's trying to solve this murder of Sandy, because she, it really feels like she had a schizophrenic break. Mm-hmm. That's what it really feels like, because she was now in a new big city. She's perfect age for it.
Pressure.
Her mom had mental health issues,
and killed herself.
Schizophrenia runs in the family. Age-wise, it's perfect for it, and she's now in a new stressful situation, which usually triggers it. And
she apparently still sees her mom.
And she apparently has had histories of that as well. And so then she has on this date, and I'm pretty sure she got drugged from her crazy bitch of an ex-roommate, and is up in her room, and she basically starts seeing Sandy getting attacked on this bed in this mirror that she has in her room. And, she's basically witnessing her murder. And so she's just completely freaking out. The guy she's dating there, is like, kudos on him and his strength for sticking by to not be like, bitch, be crazy. But he does leave, of course, because the landlady kicks him out. So it was interesting because the landlady was really calm. As much as it was like, did he hurt you? No, you're fine. Okay, carry on. We're good. She's very calm. So then of course, Ellie gets all super obsessed with trying to solve this murder, and she goes and attacks this guy that we, up until then, they did such a good job of making it feel like he was Jack in the future. Yeah. Terrence Stamp, right?
Played him, yeah.
His mannerisms, everything about him was like he was him. Yeah. But I thought it was weird that no one said his name. The bartender that was there only
talked about being a ladies' man, and and that he was just so. And
so then she just starts going off and starts trying to attack him.
Well, because she's been to the police and they think she's crazy.
Yeah, and so I can't, and it was such a like, holy crap moment when she chases him out to the street because he's like, I'm just done with this. He gets hit by this car, dies. And then the bartender calls him Lindsay, and says he used to be a cop. And it was like, holy shit, it's not Jack. Yeah. And you find out that because Sandy, she had witnessed Sandy talking to this cop who was trying to get her out of this, and she just ignored him. And because he had said he used to take care of all the women and all these girls. He made it sound like it was Jack. Yeah. But no, he was a cop. And so he had nothing to do. And he had given her clues as to what had happened to Sandy with these names. And it was like, well, this is weird. Like, what's actually happening, you know? And so that was just, it was fun to be truly surprised. Yeah. Because they did such a good job. I wasn't able to be like, oh, I bet you that's what it's going to be. Yeah. Up until that moment. And then after that, then your brain starts thinking like, what else could be explaining all this, right? So all the ghosts of these guys that are coming after her, that was really scary, actually. Like, they did a good job making them all blurry faced and making them kind of chase her around. And well, and what did you notice with them, the ghosts then, that kind of started giving you an idea?
Well, a couple of them, you could hear them say, help me. Yeah. Right.
Which didn't sound like someone who was trying to get her. Yeah. And attack her, right?
Yeah. So there was some of that, So what you know is Sandy wants to be a singer. She wants to be a singer.
He's going all the way back there.
And And Jack promises her a life of singing, gets her in a review as like a backup dancer, but then basically starts pimping her out. Mm-hmm. And to get ahead in the world, she's going to have to do these things. So she basically just becomes a prostitute.
Yeah.
That's what the cop was trying to get out of, in case you were like, if you hadn't watched it and you were like, well, and you're here for the spoilers.
I assume you had watched it, that's why you're here.
You were just like, well, I want to know. I need to know this. So yeah, that thing. So then going back, where are we at?
I'm just asking you to talk about the ghost, because that was your thing to talk about. So.
Well, it was just the idea that some of them, you could hear them clearly say.
So what did that make you question then?
That made me question whether or not Jack actually killed Sandy, or if Sandy killed Jack. Yeah. Right? Or if Sandy was killing her Johns, right? Mm-hmm. That idea, right? Because it was like, well, that seemed
strange, right?
Right. So it was a weird. So when I thought of that, and it turns out to be
that Sandy was killing the Johns.
Yep. So and what you find out is so then Eloise decides to leave, mm-hmm. and she goes back to the house, and she's trying to get her deposit back, and mm-hmm. so she can peace out, and because she's feeling the break, and she, especially after the fact that after Lindsay died, right, she feels guilty. So she's just going to leave. Mm-hmm. And you find out that the old lady that owns the house is, dun dun dun, Sandy.
Yep. She poisons her with some tea, and is basically like, tells her what had happened, and then
how's your tea, kitty?
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know if I should be drinking tea anymore from you. That she, you won't be telling anyone type thing.
I know you won't be telling anyone.
You won't be telling anyone. And so she basically had gotten fed up with the situation and decided that she would just start killing all of them. And you find out that, because the landlady at the beginning, when she was giving her, a tour of the house, she had said she'd worked there and there was too many good memories or too many memories in this place. Yeah. And I could never sell it. And as I said, because I worked here, because then Ellie was asking her, like, did someone die up there? Like, what happened? And then she was just like, well, in a roundabout way, yeah, you could say someone died. Well, in her mind, it was basically the innocent side of her died, because that was where she took all the Johns. And so she would kill them, and then she put them in the walls and the floors, which is why all the ghosts, all of that connection, that's a lot of energy in that house then.
Well, and also too, because she's like talked about, like, don't worry about the smell, it's just the garlic from the French restaurant, mm-hmm. right?
So then you start questioning, like, all that stuff. You come back and you're like, wait a second, like, and yes, that's why she can't sell the place. It's full of human remains. And so the only thing we weren't quite sure of is whether she killed the Johns first or killed Jack first. But we're thinking that she killed the Johns and Jack confronted her about it. Because the other thing that made us question about whether she was actually killing them was because when Ellie went back to go look at, she was trying to find a news article about Sandy being killed.
And there was a lot of...
And she's looking at all these articles, and there's a lot of men disappearing, dying, and not a lot of women.
Yeah. And she was looking for Sandy's death.
Yeah, and so I thought, I was like, well, this is weird. There's a lot of guys, specifically ones that seemed more like the age group that they showed.
Yeah, well, there was even guys that you could see the pictures.
That were there.
Yeah, as she scrolled through them.
And it's hard. It was a weird thing, because you don't want anyone to die, but at the same time, you could sympathize with Sandy for being in that situation, because all the guys were portrayed as complete dirtbags. Oh yeah, and so. You don't want them to die, but you understand the reasoning, so you don't really feel bad for them.
There's a lot of conflicted emotions in that moment.
Right? You're like, I kind of see that they had it coming, but at the same time, did they? Like, it's difficult, right? And it's sad because they all they were portrayed so scumbag. Mm-hmm. They were very much of using women. There was no respect. There was just, you're gonna do what I want, and because I'm me. And they all look the same, they all acted the same, they all so it's definitely portraying a different vibe from then. So it was interesting because then all those little pieces kind of clicked into place. And Sandy goes nuts and is basically that John comes in because she had said, come in in case I have a break, basically, if I don't come out in 15 minutes. So he comes to the door to go check on her, and Sandy stabs him.
Yeah. So
now he's bleeding.
Yeah, her boyfriend's bleeding out, and the cigarette has fallen
into the records.
I mean, records are flammable.
Yep.
So
now we have a flaming house and a bloody boyfriend and a crazy old lady
with a knife.
And Ellie's poisoned and is also now being cut and trying to climb up the stairs, and it's just mass chaos.
Yeah. pure darkness. So yeah, it just was really well done though. Like,
yeah.
The
story really came together nicely.
Mm-hmm.
It was very interesting. Like, it threw you into something, but it didn't take too long to get going.
Mm-hmm.
It gave you lots of interesting information, and then it really had a cool twist to the end, and really, came together nice.
Yeah. So my final thoughts are like it's going to be in my top. Oh yeah, probably top 5 for 2021 because it was just really engaging to watch, and it's something I could watch even knowing. I'd be curious to watch again, even knowing the twisted ending and all that. But I still was just pretty to look at. There's a lot of effect in it that with the transitions between the worlds, the time that I think it was, worth multiple views. And I think seeing those pieces together could also make it more engaging to maybe see where all those breadcrumbs were really hidden.
Yeah. It's coming on, watching on the other side, being like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah. And that is referencing it too. One thing that was interesting, so after it just jumps ahead to her having a show at a fashion premiere basically at the end. And she has this successful show. She has that style of dresses that she really liked. And, her boyfriend's still there. Her aunt's there. Everything's great. Her mom, which you only ever really saw in reflections, was kind of there and she was doing okay. But then all of a sudden the reflection of Sandy shows up as well. So it was kind of an interesting nod that she is still kind of connected with that.
Yeah.
In what light, I don't know, right? Because is it something that's going to help drive her in her connection to the fashion and the art? Or is there still that hint of that mental illness aspect, right? So
you definitely could if they did do, which would be weird to do a sequel, but you definitely could do the idea that because she was so... she just kind of give her the boop moment, right? So it's the idea of how much of that is driving her inner self, and is she going to snap, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, totally worth it. Totally worth every dollar we paid for our video on demand thing. So if you are interested in it, you should definitely check that out if you haven't already. Super good. Do you have any final thoughts on it, Kitty?
Again, it's just I'm excited to watch it again. Yeah. It was interesting and, I really enjoyed it. It was for being something that can be so dark. I think because there was so much going on to it, it wasn't so dramatic that it got heavy, but at the same time, it was heavy. It wasn't so light that it was just kind of, what was the point of spending the time for it? It was this really awesome mix of a little bit of everything. Yeah. So not too much romance either. There was no big grand thing. It was just that little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah.
So yeah, Last Night in Soho. Go check it out. Totally worth your time. So, one question for you though. Are we going to watch all the Spider-Man stuff during December to be ready for...
Oh, no, we bought our Spider-Man tickets.
Yeah, so we are going to get to see Spider-Man, so we will have our Spider-Man episode, which will be the week of Christmas. That'll be our Spider-Man episode.
Yeah.
And we'll probably do the same way as we're doing this one. We'll probably talk about it for a moment and then
Oh, no. We're just going to wait, and then we'll record right afterwards, and then we'll just drop a giant, Spider-Man spoiler. We can do a quick little thing, and then it can be our little Christmas present to you. Is a spoiled Spider-Man episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So who knows what episode this is going to be and when it's going to drop. But so that's exciting.
Yes.
So,
but yeah, that throws an extra level of things in there.
That includes.
There's a lot of things.
Homecoming, Infinity War, Civil War, Homecoming.
No, we're not
Civil
watching
War,
all the Spider movies.
Homecoming, Infinity War,
No.
Endgame, Far From Home.
No, we have
Spider-Man.
We have memories.
Spider-Man 1, Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Sorry, Mike and Katie can't come to work. They have Spider-Man movies to watch.
There's so many things. No, yeah, I was just wondering. I was like, how are we going to pull that? Because usually we watch that stuff before, but I don't think...
The only thing we could try to watch is actual Tom Holland's 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
Those ones would be the only ones I think that could make sure work.
Make it work.
Because otherwise the others are just too much.
Yeah.
Because then when do we not bring Doctor Strange?
But then what happens then if nothing comes out of it? That's the ploy, right? That's the ploy. They're teasing all this stuff just so you go out and buy and stream all the other Spider-Man stuff, and then nothing's going to be in it.
Yeah. See, we can't support that, man.
But I don't really know what's up
we don't know
sleeve.
what's going to happen because we have to just see what our schedule brings.
Yeah. But that's, sometimes that brings the best. The most exciting.
Yeah.
The most thrilling.
Well.
Most daring. Because we're courageous and caring. Along with the secret of you can finish that.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we got that one in there, so. I think, as much as it's a short episode, we got to wrap it up. We can go watch a Christmas movie, man.
Maybe.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
And remember, stay rad, dudes.